Hi everyone, I'm Charissa.Willow with Charissa.Willow Mixed Media Art. This is my first YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this mixed media art piece that was inspired by the song Put Your Records On by Corrine Bailey Rae. I'm starting with an underpainting with acrylic on canvas. This is a pre-treated canvas, so I don't have to put gesso on it. It's already on there. And I am just working to get the basic shapes here. The idea in my head is that there will be a record player on a table in front of a window, and there will be three whimsical little birds. And then I want the first lyrics of the song to be around the birds. So that's what I have in my imagination. And right now I'm just working to put down some basic shapes. I'm going to speed this up quite a bit here. And then when I get to the next step, I will explain more. I wanted to point out that I made my record, I started it out blue, and the reason that I did this is because, first of all, black is really hard to cover up if you make a mistake. And second of all, black can be really dull if you just put black paint on top of white. Most of the time, I like to put red under black, but this time I did go with blue. It just gives a little bit more dimension to the color. So like eventually when there is a record here and I make it black, it won't be a dull black. It'll have more dimension to it. I am imagining the color of the sky that I want, and at this point I'm not sure if I'm going to put trees back here or what I want to do, but I want it to be I don't want this to be like a portrait. I want it to be whimsical, kind of cartoony. So I'm putting this down first, and then I will eventually come back in. And once it dries, I will put the white window frame over it. Here I'm coming back into that record and drawing some of the white. And remember, what I put down before is just basic shapes, so I'm just kind of making that a little bit more detailed right now. Like I said before, it's easier to cover color than black, so I'm putting like the white shiny part of the record down first, and now I'm coming in with black to make my record black. Just back and forth, adding tiny little details. Again, I don't want this to be a portrait. I want it to be kind of cartoony, just representing the idea of a record player. So now the sky has dried. I'm going to come in with white and put in the frame of the window. And then I will continue to add little details and highlights. Make this record player a little bit more detailed when I'm done with this window. And I'm going to add a little music. And this is sped up at about 10 times the speed I was doing it. So now to add some interest to what's going on outside that window, I'm going to do some stenciling. I'm putting a darker blue down, and I'm trying to work fast so I can keep this wet. And then I'm going to lay a stencil over it. I'm going to use a baby wipe to remove the blue paint So it's going to leave a mask of this stencil behind. I'm just going to line this stencil up and continue on. And I don't want this to be all the same texture behind, so I've gone through my stencil stash and I've picked out a couple more stencils. I'm going to continue with this stencil here one more time, and then I'm going to use 2 additional stencils to just give it more interest. I don't want it to look like a stained glass window. I want it to look like there's something going on in the background behind those birds. So as I'm wiping with the baby wipe on this stencil, you can tell I do not do a good job of cleaning my stencils, and this has paint from other projects on it, and it kind of wipes some of that paint onto my canvas and gets a little purpley when I remove this stencil, which is kind of a happy accident. I like the way it turned out. It just adds a little bit more texture to it, so I don't mind that, but if you're doing this same technique, something to be mindful of. I know that I should probably clean my stencils, but I just never take the time to. I'm always just keep going on to the next thing. So I am really happy with what is going on looking out that window right now. And so I'm going to do the same technique with the table that the record player is sitting on. And I have this stencil that I'm going to use. It's actually like a snake print is what it's supposed to be, but I thought it would look a little bit like wood grain. So I'm going to use that next. And this is covered in green, and of course I did get some green onto the little table, but I feel like that is a happy accident as well, so I like the way it looks. I like the way it turns out here. So I'm just coming in here again, making more details, kind of giving this record player a shadow, so like the sun is lighting up the top part and maybe the rest of the room is a little darker. I have a image that I'm using. It's a black and white that I printed off of a Google image I found, just to kind of give me an idea of what a record player looks like so that I have something to paint from. Again, not trying to make a portrait, just trying to have the idea of a record player. Next, I cut out some bird shapes from gel plate prints that I've made myself. You can see I've already cut them out. I just wanted to show you what the print looked like. And that print above for the beaks is a gel plate print that I had printed on some sheet music. So there'll be little notes on the bird's beaks. I'm just kind of playing around here with how I want them. Going back, looking at that bird. I don't like the way it is. I end up cutting an entire different bird because I don't like the way his little feather is on the back of him. So you can see I've left this in just because you can see the process. And I am going to place these on the canvas using Mod Podge. I use the yellow Mod Podge, which is matte. I used to use glossy. I do not like glossy. It shines, and if you use the glossy, it seems like you have to cover the entire canvas with glossy, or some parts look different than others. So I like the matte Mod Podge. There's a lot of different ways. I know there's like gel medium. I don't use it because it's too expensive. And Mod Podge seems to work good with me. Sometimes with Mod Podge, when you go to paint over it with like an acrylic paint pen, it won't dry, or even sometimes inks, when I stamp inks, they won't dry. So one thing that works is to use a fixative spray, and then you can use your Mod Podge. So I know this is tedious, but this is how I work. Just really picky about exactly where I place them. These are the whole focus of this piece, so I want to get it right. So these are my three little birds. I decided that I want to have some curtains on this window, so I found some patterned tissue paper at the dollar store, and I cut them into the shape of curtains, and I'm just applying them with the Mod Podge again. And I love the way tissue paper looks when you Mod Podge it into projects. It's slightly transparent, which is really cool for these curtains. So yeah, I'm really liking the way this turned out, and I didn't know if I was going to try to print my own tissue paper or use gel plate prints for the curtains, and I just really lucked out that there weren't very many patterns to choose from at the dollar store, but this really goes with the colors of this piece. I am super happy with it. I'm just cutting off the side here, and this is very tedious. I picked this piece up and I made it like a ruffled, like, I think it's called a valance, and I thought about having it there, but then when I looked at it, I didn't like it. I liked it better without it, so I didn't add that part. Now I am writing the words. Three little birds sat on my window, and they told me I don't need to worry, which are the first lines of the song. I've always liked the song, and it played on record day on The Current recently, and I just instantly had this like whimsical little idea in my head, and now here it is coming to life, which what I saw in my imagination and what I'm putting on canvas. Now this last part, what I'm doing is oil pastels. I get really nervous when I use oil pastels. They're very messy, so I always leave them to the very end, and I always worry that I can ruin everything by messing up with my oil pastels. So from here on out, I'm just using the oil pastels to add the finishing touches. I love that it looks like crayon. It reminds me of kids' artwork. I love oil pastels, but they just make me nervous. So till the end of the video is just me going in with oil pastel and a little bit of acrylic paint pen to do the finishing touches, and then I will show you some up-close pictures of the finished project. When I am finished, I am going to spray this with a fixative to keep those oil pastels hopefully from smearing. The fixative I like to use is called Krylon Workable Fixative. It's an aerosol spray. It is very potent stuff, so you want to spray it outside, unless you have a very well ventilated area, but I work in my kitchen, so I spray this outside. And then if you can leave the project outside for a little bit, that's good too, but at least do the spraying outside. I am going to include links to everything that I used in the description box, but of course it's an important rule of mixed media art. You want to use what you have. Use your art supplies first, and then if you need to go shopping, you can use my links. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first video. It's been a lot of fun to make, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you. Like and subscribe.